You know how competitive the construction industry is. Right now, you're probably bidding on a project against 2, 3 other contractors. And the question is, how can you differentiate yourself in the mind of your potential clients or existing clients from the other contractors whom you compete against year after year, day after day? There's table stakes, right? You've got to be safe, you've got to be productive, you've got to be able to bring a project in on budget or under budget. But that's not really a way to stick out from the competition. So how can you do that? That's what me and my guest, Peep Laja, talk about today on Construction Genius. Peep is a builder of companies. His companies include XCL, Spiro, and Winter. And I'm bringing him on Construction Genius because he does not have deep construction experience, but he has deep marketing experience, and he understands what you need to do in order to differentiate yourself from the competition. Listen to the interview today with Peep, and you will understand 3 things. You've got to be able to be unique in your messaging. You must be genuine in your messaging, and you must consistently communicate that message over a long period of time. This is how you're going to stand out from the competition. And Peep and I discuss how you should clarify that message, why it's important, and what to do once that message is clear. So, as I always say, enjoy my interview with Peep. And if you have any feedback, feel free to reach out to me on my website, constructiongenius.com. Thanks again for listening. This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership. Peep, thank you for coming on the show here today.
It is my pleasure.
You spend a lot of time thinking about how companies can effectively use marketing in their businesses. What is the biggest mistake that companies make when they're marketing in a crowded field?
Yeah, this is something I see all the time. Companies mindsets are hard to change. So people still remember what worked 10 years ago when like in 2010, what was the world like back then? And so in the last 10 years, what has happened is that the markets have become much more crowded, more crowded than ever before. There are more companies, more brands than ever before in every business category. And this is because technology is cheaper. This is because there's more capital, lots of reasons.
Yep.
And so what is happening now is that if there are lots of companies doing the very same thing, or serving the very same customer, solving the very same problem, they're being increasingly commoditized. And so if you're the category leader, like number 1 or 2 in your business category, that's fine. That's great. Congratulations, you've made it, and you're getting 80% of the money. So for the rest of us who are not top 1 or 2 in your particular business category, this is like brutal war happening. And the main difficulty is both from a business and like a buyer perspective is sameness, sea of sameness.
Yep.
Looking at companies, and they're all communicating as if they're only one doing what they're doing. We build houses. We are email marketing software. We do search engine optimization.
Yep.
We build websites.
Yep.
Well, yeah, so does everybody else. And so if you communicate about your company, if you position yourself through this what we do lens, you're immediately positioning yourself as a commodity. And that is, of course, a problem, because then you're only going to be compared on pricing. And if you're not the cheapest, and you probably are not, then you have a problem. People are going to walk away. So you don't want to be fungible, easily replaceable. You want to be premium. You want to be the only one. I'm considering you and nobody else because you easily stand out. I can tell how you are different. So differentiation becomes really, really important now, because differentiation, how I define it, is a reason to choose you over all these other alternatives out there.
Okay. That's interesting. So I know in the people who are listening to this podcast, they deal with competition every day. They're in competitive bid environments. They're trying, like you say, to set themselves apart from the crowd. Why do companies struggle to do that? Because it seems like when I look at a lot of construction websites or see construction marketing, it's all kind of the same thing. Why do companies struggle with that, setting themselves apart?
Well, differentiation is very hard, and most companies are actually not differentiated because they don't have an idea how to really differentiate. And so it is a hard problem. So that's one. Two, I think ignorance, because you want to say, hey, yeah, well, we build houses, so let's say that we're a construction company. But
Right.
of course, that is not serving you. So because everybody else is in a construction company as well, so you really need to how to differentiate. There are many ways to do it. So the
Yes.
two obvious ways is one, you compete on innovation.
Okay.
Innovation is that you are actually doing something that others are not doing. So you have some sort of a technological advantage, a new process, new something. So, for instance, a company that is competing on innovation is Tesla, right?
Yep.
Their electric cars, actually have longer range batteries than the other, electric car manufacturers for now. I mean, everybody's coming, everybody's making electric cars now. But for now, Tesla has an actual objective competitive advantage through innovation.
Yep.
Now, if it's gasoline cars, if it's Ford versus Chevy, well, there's no objective difference there, like you need to be a category connoisseur to
Yes.
understand the subtle differences. Otherwise, it's just it's car. It's a brand difference, and
Yep.
of course that leads me to the other major differentiation. Then everybody can play this game is competing on brand. And how do you compete on brand? Of course, building a brand, it takes a long time.
So
So a
let me just
brand,
interrupt you real quick, just for the
yeah.
audience. Tell me what you mean by a brand. What does that
Mhm.
mean?
A brand is what they say about you, not what you say about yourself.
You mean
Because
what
when
your
other people
customers say
talk,
about you?
what your customers, or they might be not even customers, they just know that you exist. They know
Yes.
something about you. Like what is it's basically what they say about you behind your back,
Oh, very good. Okay.
right? Like so, I might not shop at Whole Foods, but I have an idea of what Whole Foods is about.
Yes.
Like premium, organic, expensive, whole paycheck, all that stuff. So if I value highest quality stuff and nice shopping experience, I go to Whole Foods. If I'm price sensitive, well, like I think I'm maybe Walmart, right?
Right.
So brands. So this is like how you are being perceived in the market. Now,
Yes.
a brand can be a reason to choose you. So let's say, do I buy Nike running shoes or versus Adidas?
Yep.
Is there a functional difference? Absolutely not. So, like, I mean, all these big running shoe makers, they're all competing on brand because functionally they're all the same. They're fungible, but they're not competing on it. They're competing on brand. So, I think a brand, when I buy you, so you answer the question, what does it say about me when I buy you? So, if I buy Patagonia outdoor, jackets and stuff, that tells through that I'm saying I care about sustainability. The nature is important to me. I want to protect the wildlife and et cetera, et cetera. Because Patagonia is all about sustainability and all that stuff. That's what they stand for.
Okay. So let me just interrupt you there again. So I really like that. So what does it say about me when I buy you? So a good brand is is telling you what to think about them, so that you have a particular narrative going on in your head when you
Exactly
purchase
right.
that product or service.
Exactly. So I mean, that narrative might be I'm very practical and I don't want fancy stuff. So I want like
Yep.
do it in an affordable way, and
Yes.
that's what I'm shopping for. And then your brand might be like, hey, forget about these expensive construction companies. We can do it in a very practical, commonsensical way. That
Right.
might be a brand. Obviously, you need to know what messaging are all your top competitors sending out. Because if there's a company out there that already owns that messaging in the mind of the customer, because positioning happens inside the mind of the customer. If
Right.
somebody already owns that, it's very hard for you to come in and be the same thing.
Okay, so let me stop you there. Hold on. How do I know that somebody else owns that message in my market's mind? How do I know that?
Some of it is just qualitative research. So meaning like you know your competitors and you might know what they're known for. Like what is their reputation? Or like also you can go to the website and see what they say about themselves. Maybe you've heard a sales pitch that they made to somebody, you know. So what are the signals that they're sending out? So I think if you know your industry, you kind of have an idea of what
Okay.
your competitors are about. So
Okay.
that's one. It can be quite subjective. It's not a precise thing, you know.
Sure.
Like I can just have an understanding of what is Whole Foods or you know like Toyota cars. Like
Yeah.
what is Toyota about? Actually, I think not much, but reliable probably.
Reliable. That was the word that popped into my head was reliable.
Yeah. I
Yep.
don't really know what Mazda is about, for instance. Like,
I don't Mazda's it's supposed to be sort of youth, but it's not, you know? It's
yeah,
supposed to
I
be
mean, I
groovy, but
guess
it's
I
not.
would consider it a little more sporty than Toyota, maybe.
Yeah, but it's not
Um,
exciting, you know?
yeah, no, exactly, exactly. And so if you're not actively managing your brand, you're getting some sort of a brand, no matter what. But it's way better if you actively cultivate a brand perception.
Okay, so
And
let's
of course,
talk
this
about
is
that. How do I do that? How do I
yeah.
actively cultivate that brand perception?
So first of all, you need clarity on what you're about,
Okay.
because your brand and your differentiation is not something that you sprinkle on top. It's not like we're a construction company. Let's hire a marketing guy, and can you like just put some branding on top? It doesn't work that way, you know.
Yeah.
So it needs to be authentic. Needs to be actually something you're about. So if you are competing on, let's say, premium, you
Yep.
know, we're the best, you need to go all in with the premium and best. You need like use the highest quality, you know, materials and technology, and you hire the best people, and you pay more than your competition. Like you need to just go like authentically be premium, right?
Sure.
Or maybe you're green. You go all in with the green, the sustainable aspect, or
Yes.
you go all in with the cheap. Of course, competing on price is only a sustainable strategy if you have some sort of a structural advantage, like a
Right.
true structural advantage.
Right.
If other people can do it cheaper than you or as cheaply, that's suicide. You know,
Okay,
that's
so
not.
let me just say this then. So to actively manage the brand, I have to get clear on what that messaging is going to be, but it also has to be true.
It has to be true. It has to be authentic, and it needs to be something that your whole company's bought into. You know, like a mission, if you will. You
Uh-huh.
know, so you need to evangelize it internally. Your people need to buy in, and then that's all your external communication, starting from your websites. If you do any sort of advertising, you know that needs to be that. And so and also in terms of advertising, how and what you say and how you say it. Medium is the message, so to
Right.
speak. That if you're all eco-friendly, sustainable, let's say that's your brand, then like what can you do to like oh maybe my outdoor advertising is built on like bamboo things, so it's
Sure.
sustainable. Like you can think about all these ways where
Sure.
you're always signaling that we're serious about this, you know.
Sure.
And then and every all your marketing materials are printed on like recyclable paper and from recycled materials, and so it needs if it's fake, it will not work.
Right.
Like you might fool somebody, but in the long term, it's not going to work.
So
And then brand
let me
building
just
takes for
ask you.
years.
Yeah, let me just ask you this. So let's say in construction, right?
Yeah.
The key aspects in construction are things like safety, productivity, and quality, right? So you want to build a project safely, on time or under schedule, and then on budget or under budget, right?
Well, I would say those are table stakes. Those is like everybody needs to do those things. If you don't
Okay.
do those things, that's you can't compete at all, right? That's just a ticket to the playground.
Okay. So let's talk about that because a lot of people, they'll hear that and say, hold on a second, I've got all this stuff on my website about safety or quality or productivity. And you're
Yeah.
saying those are just table stakes.
Exactly. I mean, there's like if I buy a car, I'm expecting the car to be mechanically sound and not break down and just work, right?
right?
It's my bare minimum expectation that it doesn't break down and it's safe and all that stuff. So that's not why I'm buying a Jaguar.
Okay.
I expect it to work. That's not why I'm buying a Chevy. I expect it to work. All that stuff. So I think it's same in construction. They're the basic table stakes things, because if you're competing, you need feature parity, so to speak. Like you need to do the same things. Like it's also safe and it's good and all that stuff.
Right.
But now you need something on top that sets you apart. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
And so like there are it's a complicated problem, obviously, but like one way to do this is through storytelling and brand. So an example of storytelling, there's this concept called strategic narrative. And so strategic narrative is explaining something that is happening in the external world. So it's putting your approach in context. So let me give you an example. I'm making this up now. So for instance, your story might be, hey, there is this thing called the building science. And the way houses were built in the 70s and 80s and 90s, this is all obsolete. These houses were built because of poor planning and like whatever reasons. But now we have a new understanding of how to build sustainable homes that are energy efficient and all that stuff. Like the construction technology has completely changed. There's better technology available. Most of the industry is still building like it's 1999, whereas we're all about the building science. And
Yes.
so you're setting the context of what is happening in the world. Better technology is available, better know-how is available, and we're the one using it. And if you sell this story and people believe it, that oh yeah, there's been fundamental in the innovation in the way houses are built, then you automatically position yourself as the best person to bring this new vision to the customer. And
So
then you
so
could say,
yeah, let me
we use
just
this
ask
new,
you a question there.
yeah.
So this sounds like it takes a lot of hard work for the team to get together and to look at what's going on in the market, the kind of marketing messages that are out there, the table stakes. And see, this is where I think a lot of companies go wrong is they spend a lot of time marketing based on table stakes, and that's why they don't stand out from the competition, because they're just talking about what everybody else is talking about.
Exactly right. So if you sell a car saying it drives and it doesn't break down, it has airbags, it will like I would never buy it. So it's the basic expectation, right? So you need something extra on top, something extra, and a lot of it is brand. Maybe you are all about sustainability, or maybe you support underprivileged youth,
Right.
and then you employ ex criminals and. Or like I don't know, like you give opportunities to there's something about you that you bring, or you are all about the latest technology, and what you use and lead with. It's not that you're the only one doing this.
Right.
There might be others doing it, but they're not saying it,
Okay, so
right?
that's key right there, because I think that's where some people miss this with marketing, is because they almost feel embarrassed to start talking about this stuff because they figure everybody else is doing that anyway. And if I start talking about it, I might stand out in a way that feels a little, I don't know, inauthentic in a certain way.
Yeah, I understand. You need to get over that. So there's a classic example from a book almost 100 years old. It's called Scientific Advertising. I
Uh-huh.
think 1920s and 1930s. And there's a case study about a beer manufacturer who basically dramatically increased their sales by saying how pure their beer is because of the filtration process they use. How the water is filtered 7 times, and then whatever is happening to make sure your beer is fresh tasting and all that stuff.
Right.
Now, the truth is that every single beer manufacturer was using the exact same filtration process, but nobody mentioned it.
Right.
And so them leading with this is fresh because we use this filtration process, they were gaining that thing. So it's the same thing. Like you might have some sort of sustainability practices and employment practices and then whatever going on, but if people are not saying those things, that's what you can compete on. Because in positioning, it is who positioning happens inside the mind of the customer. So
Right.
who reaches there first with that messaging wins.
So let's just explore this then. So would it be possible to take an aspect of what you call the table stakes and then to see within that what is perhaps unique or not talked about, and then bring that aspect out in order to set yourself apart?
It could be, but not necessarily. So if you picked one aspect that is, let's say, a table stake aspects, and you decide to compete on it, you need to go all in. So if you, let's say, you start competing on safety, well, how can you go all in on safety? How can you, there are safety standards. How can you do, like, you set internal standards that are like 3 times above the industry standard? So like you really double down on safety, and you can confidently say that you are the safest construction company. Or if you're competing in green, how you can out green everybody who's like eco builder, right?
Yep.
And so it needs to be legit. Like you're authentically competing on that thing. If you're competing on the speed of building, again, how can you be much faster than everybody else?
Right.
What can you take out in the building process that takes a long time, that is maybe not really even necessary? This
Yep.
is classic cases. Is like there's in wine industry, there's barefoot wines.
Yep.
You might have seen those in
Yeah, yeah.
supermarkets. Really cheap, like $6
Yep.
bottles,
Yep.
and very high quality wine. And the way they're able to offer this good quality wine cheap is that basically they took out the aging process.
Hmm.
The customer basically feels no taste difference. Only the wine snobs are like, that's not good enough. But the real average everyday wine drinker doesn't care.
Yep.
So they reduce the costs, and they're like able to bring the product to the market much fast. So
Okay.
I don't know anything about construction, so I don't know what is there that you can trim, but maybe there's something. Or, and again, depends on what you're building. I've seen really compelling value propositions of competing where it's specific fixed price, fixed deliverable.
Right.
So I understand for large scale projects, it might be not doable at all.
Sure.
But I've seen like a 2-week bathroom makeover.
Yeah.
A company sells a 2-week bathroom makeover. It costs $5,000. I'm just making this up.
Yeah.
And so, but it's people know upfront how long it takes and how much it's going to cost, right?
Yep.
And then you lead with this, and everybody else says, "Oh, let me give you a quote," but now you don't need a quote. It's a fixed price, And then
Yep.
there are pictures, and of course you sell through before and after pictures, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely. No, those are definitely things that can be considered. So who should be driving this differentiation effort in an organization?
This has to be owned by the very top leadership, starting with the CEO, the founder of the company, the CEO of the company. This, because it needs to be a person of authority, somebody who is basically saying that this is what we're about. And the CEO is the chief evangelist of the company, both internally and externally. So CEO needs to own this. Of course, everybody else can chime in. Like the whole leadership team, the management team needs to be aligned. So there cannot be no internal conflict. So it's like you might disagree, you discuss, you might have some heated arguments, but whatever the leadership team decides on, everybody needs to commit to it. And then communicate it down the chain. And your marketing team might do a lot of the execution on it, like in terms of brand communication, your advertising, your brochures, and your salespeople. They're like, when they're pitching clients,
Yep.
they need to say the right things. So, but it starts from the top.
So how do let's say I'm having these discussions internally, and for instance, let's say I'm debating whether or not to go all in on being the safest or being the greenest. Should I do 2 of them, or should I pick one? How do I make those decisions?
You should pick one. I mean, technically it might be possible to compete on multiple ideas, but it's so much easier to just stand for a single idea. If you're multiple things, we're also about safety, and we're green, and we're like hardworking and cheap. Is like I guess like I can't put you anywhere. People want to put you in a box. They want to label you. Oh, Whole Foods expensive, Walmart cheap. Walmart is many other things than cheap too, but they're really driving down the low prices everyday messaging, right?
Yep.
They might be saying, "Oh, superior logistics, fresh produce every day."
Yeah.
So, but like Geico, 15 minutes. We know how Geico is a great example of how they've been hammering a single message
Yes.
for decades, right?
Yes.
And we can recite their marketing message by heart. Everybody can.
Okay, so
Through
that's another
repetition.
question there. How, because what I see with a lot of marketing efforts is, well, I'll try this, and then I try that, and then someone knocks on my door and says, you need to redesign your website. So we go ahead and do that. How long should a company be committed to a single marketing message?
Well, your positioning probably should not change ever. It's just like you're committed until the end of days. I mean, you might change if for some reason the signaling is that whatever you're competing on, like the market circumstances change and
Yep.
it's not really working anymore.
Yep.
But you need multi-year outlook. So classical strategy thinking from that you learn at business schools, an MBA program says that if a strategy is less than 2 years, you don't have a strategy.
Right.
Like you need to commit at least 2 years to see the impact of the chosen strategy.
Right. Interesting. So what are three action items that a company can take to begin this journey of differentiating themselves and standing out from the crowd from a marketing perspective?
Well, step one, get really clear on your own identity and what are you about as a
Right.
company. What is your brand about? What do you stand for? And ideally, you can sum it up with a single idea. Like Patagonia, sustainability; Nike, athleticism,
Yep.
and we're championing athleticism. Like you have one idea.
So let me ask you this then. What are some good questions that, let's say, a group of executives should be asking themselves to begin to get to some clarity on that uniqueness, what you stand for?
So your differentiated value that you're communicated, it also needs to be something that people care about.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can be the bluest. Well, let's paint every house blue and everybody wears blue uniforms and it's blue.
Right.
That's differentiated, but does anybody care that your stuff is blue? I don't think so.
Yep.
So the differentiation needs to be differentiated value. So it needs to be something that people care about.
Right.
So you do need to have a laundry list of those things, and so that starts with customer insight, customer research. Your salespeople probably would have a lot of insight into what the customers are saying. If you have a customer success team or like one of those things, those teams. So it starts with.
So it's vital to actually talk to your customers and figure out in their words what it is that sets you apart or what they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly right. Of course, the thing with doing consumer research is that the feedback you are getting is not about your company; it's about the category. So they're not the customer can't and won't tell you how you can be different, and also it's not their problem. So they will tell you as a category. Like if you're a construction company, I value speed, safety, and those things.
Yeah.
And then you can basically have like what is something. Yeah, I mean it's also it needs to be legit belief,
right,
of some sort. So what is the governing philosophy?
Right. So it has to be that sense of authenticity. You have to have clarity, but then the next thing would be you have to be authentic with what that differentiation is.
It's like you cannot commit to something for many years if you don't actually believe in it. You're going to give up.
Yep.
Because it's not. It's everything you're building towards is hard.
Yep.
And so if it's a mission that actually is calling out for you as it is, then it's just much easier to commit to this. And so once get clarity, the next step would be then let's start communicating externally this one idea.
Yep.
And explain how this problem that the customer has, our differentiated value is the best solution to this problem that the customer has, and why other solutions are let's say inferior, or how you are the best solution for this well-defined set of customers.
Excellent.
Don't be afraid to polarize. Like if you're trying to appeal to everybody, it's not going to work. Everybody knows you can't be liked by everyone. So in order to be really liked by some, you need to repel another group. and that's just inevitable, especially in a crowded market.
And I think that's one of the biggest obstacles that people have in marketing is being unwilling to embrace that willingness to attract and repel. Because we think if I'm not just attracting everyone, then there's something wrong. And that is one of the fundamentals that you've got to embrace.
Totally. So if you're a premium pricing company and you do everything premium, and customers are saying, "Oh, but my budget is blah blah blah," well, then you say, "Well, tough luck."
Yep.
That's it. You don't say, "Oh, we also do budget projects."
Yep. So you got to be clear. You've got to be authentic. You've got to communicate it, and then you've got to be willing to attract and repel based on that messaging.
Exactly right.
Excellent. Excellent. Pep, I really appreciate your time. Tell us a little bit about how people can get hold of you and what you do to help companies.
I have actually 3 different companies. So I have CXL, which is an e-learning company training marketing teams on data-driven marketing. So cxl.com. I have a consulting company for customer experience optimization. So mainly working with really big tech companies. It's called Spiro. Uh-huh. And then I have Winter. Winter is a software as a service tool to test messaging. So your marketing messaging. How does your target audience perceive your messaging? What lands, what resonates with the people, and what actually turns them off? So we help in message optimization. And I'm very active on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, so people can follow me if you're on social media.
Excellent. Excellent. There will be links to all of your websites and to your social media in the show notes. Now, I know you're in Austin. I visited Austin once. It was a cool time. If I'm going to come again, where do I need to go out to eat?
If you like farm to table type of stuff, Odd Duck. Odd Duck is a restaurant I always recommend. If you're just here for the tacos, which I don't blame you, then Torches. Torches is my go-to.
Okay, so Alt Duck, A-L-T Duck.
Odd, O-D-D.
O-D-D. Oh, Odd Duck. Yeah.
Odd Duck.
Right on, Odd Duck. And then Torches, you said.
Torches, yeah.
Beautiful. Links in the show notes. So if you're in Austin, you get to go to Odd Duck or Torches and tell them that Pep sent you. Dude, I really appreciate your time. Some insights here are absolutely critical. I know none of these things that we've talked about are easy to do, but they are essential that every company does them if you're going to be able to stand out from the crowd.
Which is exactly your competitive advantage, because it's hard. Most won't go there. And that's why that becomes your moat.
Excellent. It's a key insight. Thank you very much for joining us here today, Pep, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Today's episode was brought to you by the Construction Conclave. If you as a construction leader would like to develop your skills and get involved in a community of like-minded construction professionals who are focused on building healthy teams, profitable projects, and long-term successful businesses, then the Construction Conclave is for you. It's a private, invitation-only group of construction leaders that are focused on developing their leadership skills. We do training every single month online that looks at how to become a better leader in a very practical, straightforward way. We also have other events that build community and camaraderie so that you can associate with others who are interested in developing their skills as leaders. If you'd like more information and to see if you qualify for participating in the conclave, feel free to reach out to me, eric@ericanderton.com. Thank you for listening to this episode of Construction Genius. Hope you found that 1% of inspiration to help you in the next few days. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes, share it with other construction leaders who you think would benefit, and thanks again for listening.